So your audio is a little weak, just so you know, Kayla. Dan couldn't hear you too well. If you could put a link or something to that flyer, or we're putting everybody's emails in that wants to receive the handout for this class, and you can send them all our flyer. So it's Take Care TC. It's our new transaction coordinator program that we've started here at Presidio, and really low prices for the work that gets done. I'm just waiting for some handout copies to be made for those that are sitting here in the classroom.
Everyone else here, Kayla? I'm just wondering if I need to go take a hearing test.
No, I think that there's something not quite wrong or right with my computer, or maybe where I'm sitting, or who knows.
Okay. My wife's been telling me I'm going deaf, so I just have to check.
Yeah, I don't think it's you all.
You'll get the handout. We're just going to talk. So.
See if we can get a link. We'll get a link out and an email to all of those that are on today. So we'll get those out to you. I'll get a list.
Hi, everybody. Would you please turn on your videos? I can't see you. And if you want credit for our contest, I need to have full names and your video on, please. Thank you.
Okay, so it's not CE, but just for our normal education contest is what she means. So we love to teach to faces and not to names typed up there. That way I can judge your reactions on the comments I make, like, oh, they didn't get that joke at all, you know. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. So this is our farming class. I wrote this class a long time ago, and we've upgraded it and updated it as the economy's changed. Type in your email address, and Chelsea will send it to you so that you can get it. We're also gonna I'm gonna do a screen share here with my slideshow on it. So can you all hear me good? Okay. All right. Okay. All right. No, I did not make up all those slides. I had a different marketing person make that up. So you'll have to bear with me on some of the stuff because it kind of breaks up the boredom of teaching farming. In this class, you know, we hope you will learn how through consistency that marketing and branding will help your business thrive. Farming is designed to help you develop a roadmap to building a referral business. Okay, so on demographics, there's many ways to farm, many different types of farming to do. We're going to be talking about neighborhood demographic farming today. Okay, and you can apply these same things with your sphere of influence, with first-time home buyers, with whatever it is you're wanting to farm. But so how do you think, how somebody comes up with the demographic is different by everybody. Some people want to do apartments. Some people want to do the homes they live in, their boundaries. Some people find a neighborhood and then they do the everyday direct mail or every door direct mail, or whatever that is, and they choose to farm because of that. There's no right or wrong way. You just have to, when you do farming, you have to be consistently doing these things over and over again to the farm so that you become the professional in the neighborhood. Okay. When I started farming, I chose the area that I lived in at the time, and it was because first-time home buyers could move into it, second-time home buyers could move into it, and then when people moved out, I could help them upgrade into either their second or third home as well. So that was my whole plan, is I wanted a farm that was higher turnover, so that I could do more sales and obviously make more money. Other people that I've taught this class to have done a great job in farming higher end homes, but you got to remember, with higher end homes, they don't sell, people don't move as fast or as often, and they don't sell as fast. And and so you make more money when you sell the home, but you're not going to sell as many of those homes unless you're really capturing the market in farming. There's a handout over there if you want to grab one. Okay, any questions on that? If you do, just unmute and interrupt me, because I don't have all your pictures in front of me. Okay, all right. How do you think you're in a good area to farm? How do you evaluate your competition? Give me your ideas. What's the best way to evaluate your competition?
The area that I'm farming right now is, there are large homes with an older population, so a lot of younger families are starting to turn over in the area. So that's where I'm kind of focusing on.
Okay, but the best way, I mean, what I'm talking about evaluate your competition is somebody else already farming that area, right? Are you gonna go head to head against somebody else and all their marketing? So the best way to do it is really just to get on the MLS and put in your coordinates and see how many homes are being sold, and see who's selling it. See if it's being dominated already by one or two particular agents. If there's many people, that's the best way. Then nobody's just farming it. People are just selling houses. If you just drive around and look for signs, it's hard to say if they're going up or down. But getting on the MLS and putting in your the area that you want to farm is the best way. Okay. All right. Okay, we're going to talk about the steps of the farm. The question I always get on how many homes do we start to farm is just based on how much money you have and how much money you budgeted for marketing in a farm. Farming isn't a cheap way to do real estate. You have to invest money to make money. So when I started farming this area, it was the homes were, this was back in the early 2000s, the homes were 150 to 250,000. Now those same homes right now are they're about 280 to 350 to 400,000. It's crazy how much they've jumped up. But I could only afford at the time, because I was just getting into real estate, to farm 400 houses, and that was just based on just the demographic of where I lived. And so it could have been 350 or it could have been 450. That number just varies. But I started with 400 homes, and if you can do more, obviously you're going to be able to reach more people. But that's what my budget was based on. Okay. So when you start farming, one of the most important things you could do is to introduce yourself. Okay. You have to do an introduction of some sort. And here's my marketing person came up with a good way to introduce yourself. So introducing yourself is just really important, okay? So an introduction letter is the best way that I found to do it, because I am not a door knocker. Some people are really good at door knocking. Steve is not a door knocker, so Steve will not talk to you about door knocking that much at all, okay? You can talk to Jeff about door knocking. What Steve did, and I'm gonna stop talking third person here, is I wrote a letter that briefly said a little bit about who I was and who my family was. And this was way before social media came online, right? It was logical and it made sense to me. Introducing myself, And sorry if I'm not looking up at you guys. I'm just looking down at the computer all the time. And that was because people will just look at your stuff and throw it out as junk mail if you don't do an introduction. And I proved that to myself because I did an introduction letter on the first 400 homes. And then I was getting really successful with farming. And so I got to a point where I wanted to enlarge my farm, and I went to 600 homes. And I did an introduction letter, and things kept going good, and even in the newer area. And then I started making more money, and I went to 800 homes and 1,200 homes. And I didn't do an introduction letter. I just included them in all my mailers, and I didn't get any business from the last 400 homes that I jumped to in 600 homes. I didn't get anything. It was like I just wasted a whole bunch of money that way. So, and I kind of realized, yeah, these people don't know who I am. They're just looking at my stuff as just another agent sending them stuff. And so, but I always kept getting business from my core 400, and that's where I started making more of I just kind of scaled it back and went, okay, I'm just going to focus on these people in these houses. And in my farm, I sold the same house sometimes 2 or 3 times, and they weren't my clients that bought it, but they kept seeing my stuff and they knew I was the original listing agent. And so it worked out. So farming really does work. You just have to do it. You just have to do the right things to help people out. So in today's day of social media, you know, people do want to know who you are. And so you can farm as well on social media, as well as, you know, you would always want to include your SOI in everything that you do. Any questions on an introduction letter? Any thoughts? Okay, this is gonna be a fast class. Yeah.
Do you handwrite those or type them up, and what do you say?
Yeah, so I can't handwrite. You won't be able to read it. So I did type it up and sign it, and it just said something to the effect of, "Hi, my name's Steve Perry. I live over on whatever drive, and I am a real estate agent. We love living in this area. We've lived in this area for, you know, a couple of years or whatever. My wife, April, we have, you know, 5 kids, love going to the schools here, love attending community events. You're gonna start seeing some mailers from me because I love talking about real estate. That's what I do. I'm a and just stuff like that. Just a little bit about who you are, and then I just wrap it up and say, you know what, feel free to just look over my stuff and just throw it in the garbage. But, you know, if you have any questions, reach out to me. So they kind of have an idea that it's coming, whether they like it or not. I did have a few people, probably 5 people out of the 400 or 600 that would say, hey, take me off your mailing list. And they would email me and say that. I had this one lady that that was no problem. I have no problem taking people off the list. I would just make sure they were crossed off. And we had a list of, back then it was, I was getting my address labels and lists of my farm from my title company, and they would print the labels for me back then. And then I would just have to go through the list before I attach their labels onto anything, and not include the people that said don't send to me, right? I have no idea how this one lady kept getting my stuff. She always got something from me, and she would send me the nastiest emails. I told you out and how many times, I'm gonna report you. And I'm like, who are you gonna report me to? You know, nobody's gonna do anything. The police don't care. It's not harassing email and all this stuff. And I have a legal, and you have a legal right if they're a homeowner to send them stuff as a realtor. There's no do not mail me list, right? And there still isn't, right? It's just junk mail. So, but I was trying to be professional. I was trying to not send her stuff, but somehow she always got something at least every other month. Like she must have had 2 labels or something, and I only caught 1 label in my list. And she called me up and she said, what's it take to get off your list? And I was just annoyed. I think I was in an ornery mood. And I said, well, we could sell your house and that would get you off my list. And yeah, she hung up on me. And so I just remember that because I was just snarky back at the time. And so don't be that way. But yeah, if they request to not be on your list, do your best to get them off your list. Yeah, she tried threatening me with all kinds of stupid stuff. And since my background's law and law enforcement, I knew she couldn't do anything to me. So yeah, anyway, but I tried to accommodate her. I think we still included her on big events and stuff like that. And I don't know why. I just try to take her off of everything. But sometimes we would turn the list over to other entities to help us with all our mailings and things. And I think she got included and stuff. But anyway, enough
Steve,
about that.
I got a quick question for you. This is Donna Lee.
Hi, Donna Lee.
So, hi. Hey, in your opinion, is it better to start with one location and do multiple mailings as opposed to starting a couple different ones at one time?
Yeah.
I mean, okay.
So I've done that. I jumped over to, I started using, oh gosh, what's that? Might have it on here. That system that the MLS pushes. What is that? That helps you farm and dial in. Anyway, so I jumped over to that, and I was farming and stuff like this. And what I found was it's better to invest in one area and get really good and saturated in that one area, and then move on to another area. Because until you're making money, you're just kind of scattering yourself all around. And so it's really to commit yourself. To farm an area, you really have to commit. If you do it half-hearted or halfway, you're not going to get any success at all. So.
And how long would you say that process takes if you were going to start in one area and kind of quote unquote saturate it?
So it depends on the economy and everything, and how many people you know in your farm area, but it takes good 6 months to start seeing results from farming. 3 to 6 months.
Okay, thank you.
We'll cover that. And so you have to give it a good, I would say give it a good 6 months to a year, and then you'll start seeing results. What you're looking for is just opportunity to have a listing appointment or help them buy a home. And then once it just starts picking up, and then you start sending out all the other mailers and things that we're going to talk about, it's just success, and it just builds upon itself. It just snowballs. And so I built my whole business off of starting my farm and then just becoming a referral-based business just from them, and then their kids and their friends and their neighbors. And I can't tell you how many families I've helped with all their family members just from farming. Just a lot. So that introduction letter is great. I would always include, if you're going to do a mailer of any type of letter, to include your business cards in them. So make sure you have a good business card, and all your marketing materials have to be consistent. They have to be the same. So for me, I put my face on it, and my slogan, which was the difference between for sale and sold, and then my company logo and stuff like that. And that's on every mailer that I did. So there's consistency throughout everything, so you're not confused.
Steve, can I ask a real quick question?
Go for
I
it,
may have
Sherry.
missed this, but how did you get the addresses to all, say, 400?
Yeah, from your title company. They'll still provide you
Title company.
those.
Okay.
Yeah, your title company. You just give them the coordinates of where you want to farm, and they will now email you in a PDF. You'll have to create your own labels now because they've really cracked down on title companies even more. Karen, you stretching, or you got a question?
A comment, actually.
Okay.
So I found out that there's a cheaper way to mail them where you don't have to print labels and you don't have to get a list. So you can go to the USPS bulk mail service, and you can, there's a map, and you click on the different routes. So you click on
Every
certain
door direct
area,
mail.
It will say, so it will say on this route there's 450
Right.
houses, and then you just have to have 450 postcards, and then you print out the thing.
Right.
And if you make the postcards in a regular size, then it's only, I think, 19 cents each to mail instead of the regular.
Right.
So that's another option to do without having to get.
Right. Right. So Karen's talking about every door direct mail, which we'll talk about later on, but we can cover it now. So she's right. They offer just the mail carrier's routes. And so you don't have to get labels if you don't want to do it that way. The problem with every door direct mail is it took in my farm 2 of those routes to get all the people that I wanted. And that bumped me up to like 700 or 800. And so I couldn't afford, well, it's cheaper to do it that way. But when I was doing it, the way I was doing it was I knew I was going to get these same people, right? But every door direct mail came out. And so now they'll provide you all the addresses and everything because it's already right there. And you can use their services for printing and for everything. And it's much cheaper. Every door direct mail is by far the cheapest way to do it. So if I was to start a farm again, I would absolutely do it the way Karen's saying to do it because it's just the easiest, cheapest way to do it. So you don't have to worry about getting labels and sticking them on stuff, but that's
Can
how I started.
Can I pipe in and just,
Yeah.
I just learned something recently about doing that. This is Donnelly again. I teamed up with a lender to do marketing so that he was paying for half and I was paying for half.
Yep.
And they have printing capabilities at their company. So he was doing that aspect of it and had their marketing company do his side, which was the address side. And so he had put on there the little, the stamp logo, whatever. But I found out when I actually took the actual postcard to the post office that if you want to get the additional discount that Presidio has, because we have a contract with doing that with the American Fork post office, you have to get our logo that has our permit number, and it will save you an extra penny on everything you send out.
Yeah. So you guys are all over my class. You guys are doing awesome. So she's exactly right. And that's something we're going to talk about in a minute, is to partner up with somebody. And that's exactly what I did was with my lender. He has a separate account for postage. They have a separate account for printing. And so when I would do my newsletters, I had my lender print them. So I didn't have to have any printing costs. And then I covered the cost of the postage. And so absolutely partner up. So let's continue talking about door knocking is a good thing to do in a farm, especially if you know your neighbors, which you should know. So that's the only place I would door knock personally, because I don't trust people and I don't like door knocking. So, and I wouldn't recommend a single woman go do that by herself without having gone through the concealed weapons permit class. I mean, it's just too many risks for door knocking, but Jeff's really good at it. So if you want to do that, talk to Jeff. I'm not going to, okay, I'll stop. Okay. So once you've, there's some good companies out there that Brian was talking about last week that you can get marketing pieces done. Do you guys have somebody that you already use to create marketing pieces such as postcards or newsletters or anything? Your lender? Yeah. Lenders have marketing departments now, yeah.
Chelsea's great to help out with that too. She does a great job.
Yeah, okay, so, but that isn't her job, is to make your marketing pieces. So I'm not gonna promote that for sure. She's got too many other stuff doing for our company. But absolutely, we can steer you in the right direction on getting marketing pieces made. So if you use the marketing pieces that we do make, great. Those work out really well too. But you'll have to contract with another company just to get if you want it done easy. I'm trying to think of the company I used. No, it's not Pro Agent. I'll think of it. But anyway, there's companies that already have all this stuff created for realtors, and you can just Google them. And so you'll do, when you get a listing, you'll do obviously your just listed postcards. You'll do your just sold postcards. Newsletters are really important. You keep it mostly about other stuff and then a tiny bit about real estate, and then you have it, your contact information there. The reason why is because you're already inundating them with other stuff with real estate, and so it's a refreshing thing for them to get something else from you. And I don't mean like recipe cards and holiday cards and all that kind of stuff. Those are all good to send out too, but you want to do other stuff like things to do with fixing up your home and stuff like that. These are the type of articles in the newsletters. So we would do newsletters, and I did even a little kids section because I had a 4-page newsletter, and we would send them out to the same farm. And at church, a mom and a daughter, stopped me in a hallway, and the daughter, who was only like, I don't know, 9 or something, she says, "Hey, we love getting your newsletter. We love getting your mailers and stuff." And so I was feeling pretty good about myself. And she says, "But you know your trivia question that you had?" I said, "Yeah." She says, "Your answer was wrong." And I don't even know what she was talking about because I stopped reading the trivia stuff, right? I was just getting the data and sending it out. I was too busy trying to be a machine that I stopped reading my own articles and things. And so I said, "Oh, really? So what did I do wrong?" And she says, "Okay." And she pulls out my newsletter, that page, and she's like, "Well, here's what it is." And I'm like, "Okay, and what is the right answer then?" And so she just went off and started telling me what the right answer was and everything. And I just started praising her, telling her she's right, and you know, that I'm going to put her in my next newsletter, and how she corrected me and all this other stuff. And that just made her day and everything, right? But I had no idea what she was talking about. I just was winging it right there in front of her, trying to make her feel good. So needless to say, you know, you want to obviously build a good rapport with all the people you're sending stuff out to. Okay, endorsement letters. Anybody do endorsement letters? Do y'all know what an endorsement letter is? No? Okay. So an endorsement letter, and maybe I put a copy of it in this packet. Maybe I didn't. Okay, an endorsement letter is a letter that you've handwritten about the transaction that says something to the effect of it has the name of the client that you helped and a little bit about the transaction. The transaction was a little bit difficult, blah, blah, blah. A tiny paragraph about it. And I'll send out to everybody a copy of, or Chelsea, well, I'll send it to Chelsea, to everybody, and send out a copy of an endorsement letter. But either way, it's a letter that says what a great job that the transaction did and that you helped them do. And you take that to closing with you. And while after they've signed all their closing documents and everything's going great, you say, I have this letter, if you wouldn't mind endorsing me, saying what a great job we all did together as a team to get the house sold and all this stuff. And I've never had anybody not sign it. And they sign it, and then I mail that off, and I use the ink or the font looks like a handwritten font on the envelopes, and mail that off without a return address on it, just so that it looks like your client's endorsing you, which is what they are doing. But you're sending it out on their behalf, and you got their permission to do so. So by them signing it, it gives permission to have that endorsement. So that's gone a long way because it's just another piece that you need to send out. So any questions on endorsement letters? Okay.
Are you allowed to use their real name? I guess if they sign off on it, you're fine.
Yeah, well, I don't say Jane Doe sold her house on, you know, that wouldn't make sense, right? So yeah, no, they sign it, they read it, they sign it at closing, and it's just a great piece. It's good for marketing. A lot of people do different things for endorsements. They'll take pictures and they'll post them on social media saying they sold a home and all this other kind of stuff. But there's just all kinds of different ways to be endorsed that way. Another really good mailer is magnets, and magnets are coming up that I did with Christmas cards. So we always did the calendar magnets for the next year. We didn't do the sports ones because there's so much controversy between the colleges around here that I didn't want to get in on that. We just did calendars with a nice outdoor scenery in the background. And when you order, let's say you order 400 or 500 magnets, it's about, you know, 100-pound box that comes to you. But each individual magnet, when you mail it out, is still first class. So I would order them ahead of time. I would do the group stuff with other agents so that we all get a discount on ordering calendar magnets. And of course, you have your face, your marketing materials on the bottom of it, so your contact. And then when you mail those out, it's just a first class stamp still, because the magnets are light individually. But I would go over to a listing of somebody's house that I didn't know, and there'd be like 6 years worth of magnets on their refrigerator. Sometimes they were all over holding up different kids' paperwork. Sometimes, oddly and creepily enough, they were all right there with my face all lined up on this lady's refrigerator. And I was like, wow, you kept my magnets. And she's like, yeah, they're great. We love them. And they're beautiful sceneries. And I'm like, all right. And one time, a friend of mine, they're about that big, you know, they're just, it's just a very small magnet. It's just the background, right? And then the calendar for all 12 months are right there. No, it's not like me fishing or me in a fireman calendar. It's not like that. I could pull that off, but I'm not getting. But okay, so anyway, one time somebody had they were still handing out phone books, and an agent had put a magnet with his marketing on the back of the phone book, and of course I pick up the phone book and go throw it in the recycle bin, and I saw this guy's magnet there. And when I went over to a listing, she had a bunch of my calendar magnets there, and then she had this guy's magnet, this other agent's magnet there. And I was listing the home. I already signed the contract and everything. I'm like, I don't think we're going to need this magnet here anymore. And she's like, oh yeah, it's just a magnet. And so I took it off her fridge and threw it in the garbage, or put it in my pocket or something. And you kind of got to know people to be able to be that bold to be able to do that. But that happened. I admit it. Okay. I did a bus bench right right in front of the elementary school. Created it myself. Had my marketing on it, my picture, everything on it. If you guys have the handout, there's a picture of my latest bus bench before I gave it to one of my agents. And yeah, it was a great billboard. It sat there all the time. When somebody would tag it, I would get texts from people telling me, hey, somebody drew horns on your head, or they tagged your bus bench, or they'd take a picture of it and they'd send it to me. And then I would leave the tagging there for about 3 or 4 days unless it was vulgar. Why do you think I did that? Yeah, more people would reach out to me and say, hey, your bus bench was tagged. So I knew people were seeing it. So I knew it was in a good location. So if you do a bus bench, you have to know your city ordinances allowing you to do a bus bench at a UTA stop sign. And I made sure that mine was on cement. It wasn't on somebody else's grass where they have to maintain it and all that, because I owned that bus bench. And so the bus bench was there forever, and it's only like $100 to update it and get new marketing materials and stuff like that. So that's just one way to do it. Let's see. Yeah.
How do you find out how to do that?
So it's the same as the sign ordinance. You get a hold of your the city, and say, hey, can I talk to somebody about the sign ordinance, the bus bench ordinance, and then they'll tell you. So if you're really good, you could look it up online if they have it online, but I just called, and because at the time, my area was in unincorporated Salt Lake County. Their sign ordinance was not very stringent. Some cities won't even let realtors put up directional signs for open houses and stuff like that. So you really have to know what they'll allow and what they won't allow. I became mayor, and so I made sure that the sign ordinance was good for realtors, and I wasn't having any problems with the bus bench. So, but let's talk about that. Let's talk about politics and things like that. So I ran for city council for a couple selfish reasons. One was to get my name out there for name brand recognition more so that I could end up selling more houses to people. Second was because I was on the governmental affairs committee at the board, and they were pushing for realtors to be involved in city councils and different things like this, so that we had good people in these positions to help us pass the laws and things that needed to happen in the different cities. So I said, okay, I can do that. And so I ran for city council, got on the city council, and started to understand things. And then I learned that there's a law that says you're not allowed to benefit from these types of opportunities. Like, hey, there's some land coming up here, and I'm like, well, I'm a real estate broker. I can help with that transaction. No, you can't. Not if you're in city. If you're in a elected position, you're not supposed to benefit. Now, do people? Absolutely. People do it all the time, but just saying.
You should talk to Jen Corbin about Iron County every quarter.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it happens. It happens all over the place, but I wasn't going to do it because the law says you're not supposed to, and that's me. I don't play in the gray area. So the one thing I learned though was giving back to the community ended up being my passion, and so I got to turn the town into a city and be the first mayor of Kearns. And so when I did that, it was all about the good of the community and everything like that. And so if you do those things, do them for the right reasons. I don't know that I ever really benefited in my career for it, but I did just for growing and being a better person and learning how to do that. Will I do politics again? No, I won't. I've been asked to run for all kinds of other positions, but no, I hated it. I hated the politics part. So I won't do that again. Other good areas to market and to get your name out there though are your local schools. I did have a banner at the football stadium in the basketball gym for volleyball, basketball, whatever. And so getting your name out there in these positions, there's a lot less likely that they're going to get vandalized or anything like that. But one of the things that I learned when I started paying for the marketing in the schools was that they're always doing fundraisers, which I knew anyway because my kids have all gone through, I have 6 kids, and they've all gone through sports and everything. And it took until my 4th child in high school, and I helped coach. I was one of the assistant coaches for the girls volleyball team, and they had to do a fundraiser. And I was thinking, what can I do to help them out in their fundraiser and get my marketing out? Well, you know how they sell the shirts and they have all the brand, all the marketing on all of the t-shirts and things like that. And I thought, well, if I'm the only one on that t-shirt, then that's better for me. So I talked with the school officials, and for their fundraiser, they always sold the t-shirts. So they always designed the t-shirts and each year, and then sold those for $20 a piece, and they got like $5 out of each shirt. I said, well, how about if I buy the shirts and you make the design, and I'll get the shirts printed, and then I'll put my logo on the back, in the middle of their back, okay, of the shirt, and then you can sell them and keep all $20, right? And so that was a win-win for me and them. So, okay, here's a trivia question. Why did I put the logo down in the middle of the back of the shirt? Why? You're on the right track.
Everyone sees it.
Because they have long hair though. And so I didn't want the hair covering up my logo. So I had it put down in the middle of the back of the shirt. And it looked good there. But I was like, gosh, if I put it up higher around the shoulders and all that, nobody's ever going to see it. So anyway, we sold, several hundred of these t-shirts for volleyball through all the parents, all the family, and all youth and everything like that. And they got to have more money, and I got to have a good sponsorship out there. And I still, and we still see people, I'm like, yeah, that was my logo, right? But so anyway, so that's a really good way to do it. And so, and then the band contacted me and said, hey, we want to sell socks. And I'm like, can I put my logo on socks? I'm like, no, nobody's going to see socks. I'm not going to do that. But all these different youth groups in the schools and all their different clubs, they're always looking to do fundraisers, and you can get your name out there for your name brand recognition in that way and help them out. I think that's better than just putting it out there. Let's say, for example, if you bought a billboard, even an electronic one, that was only costing you $300 to do, so many flashes every 6 seconds, that's called shotgun marketing. I think that's a waste of time, just because it's just so rotating and people are driving by and they're not going to do anything just because they see that flashing billboard when it comes up. But if this school is in your farm and this type of thing, then it's actually more meaningful, right? It's meaningful to the community, it's meaningful to the kids and everything like that, and you get your marketing out. Okay, any questions or thoughts on that? Something different that you may have done? Okay. So,
Steve, I have a quick question. This is Chelsea.
Yeah,
What
Chelsea.
is your thoughts on sharing sponsorship? If another agent, so we've got a few of the high schools and they do gold, silver, bronze, blah, 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 but they'll take, there's no limit to how many real estate agents. So I've sponsored before, but it's Chelsea Funk with Presidio Real Estate, so-and-so with Coldwell Banker, Gold Key Realty. Do you suggest that?
Yeah, I mean, if it's something that you're going to have the whole community go out to, right? I do suggest teaming up, especially if it's going to be your name instead of just, the company name, and here's why. Is because the last 2 pages of this handout says marketing items for farming. I got that from Steve Douglas, and Steve Douglas is a marketing genius, and his wife, Paige Douglas, they moved from California and they checked out all different areas of the country where they wanted to move and start their real estate business. They sold a marketing advertising company in California and they picked Heber. So they live in Heber right now, and I recruited them. And what they do is they farm that small community. So Chelsea, you have that type of small community up there where they have all the different community events. And so what they do is they're at everything, and their tagline is Paige Sells, right? It's really simple. So it's on every balloon they make. It's on every marketing swag that they could do. And they put
everywhere.
Yeah.
They're everywhere up there.
Everywhere in Heber,
They're
right,
on every
Brandon?
single seat in Smith's grocery stores, on their on the shopping carts. They're on every bus outlet. She drives around that car all the time. She gets like overkill where people are like, oh, there's Paige.
Yep.
Like everybody knows who Paige is.
See, Brandon, you must live in Heber, I'm guessing.
You know it.
Okay, so that's exactly what I'm talking about. So her husband Steve does this on the side, and so he's like, yeah, you can have this. This is what we do, and they literally farm the whole town of Heber. Brandon will attest to it. Okay, so they're at every event and they're doing everything, and they've only been there like 6 years. They just started working there. They were with Exit at first, and then I convinced them to come join my previous company at Realty Path. And I can't get her to go now because she's so well branded that I can't afford to change all her branding now. But yeah, so she farms that whole community. So Chelsea, I'm just saying that all those events that you can do, any community event, you guys can each do these within your neighborhood. You can do these as like they did with the whole town. But yeah, they're in every parade. They're at every farmer's market. They're at everything, handing stuff out. So, okay, let me ask you about a garage sale. Has anybody ever went to a garage sale, especially in your farm? We're talking about in your farm, and said, hey, I'd love to sponsor your garage sale, your yard sale.
Paige
Anybody ever done that? Huh?
I said Paige does it.
Yeah, I know Paige does it, okay? Hey, you're killing my mojo here, Brandon. Paige does it, and that's actually who taught me about it. It's like, really? You go to, she goes, yeah, we'll bring over a couple dozen boxes of donuts and balloons, and can we sit here and hand out free donuts and balloons to people to help promote your yard sale, right? So she's helping promote their yard sale and herself at these events. She's creating her own event off of somebody else's stuff, right? And so I was like, wow, I never thought of that. And that gets your name out there, and that gets your branding and marketing out there. Seth?
Just like an individual person?
Yeah, yep.
Like a community art sale?
Yeah, she'll do both. Yep. Individual, whatever, right?
What was
It's
his
like,
question?
he said, was it an individual yard sale or like a community yard sale? And so she does everything. Whatever they can get their hands on, they're doing it. They're branding themselves. So, and she doesn't get all the business up there, but she gets a lot of it, doesn't she, Brandon?
It's quite a bit. And the thing is, I'll tell you about her is I've worked with her on 2 or 3 different transactions over the years. She's still accessible by phone because a lot of the people that advertise a bunch, they don't answer their phones. So that's one thing that's good about Paige.
Yeah. Yeah, she absolutely does. And she's got an assistant too. So her assistant and her TC, they do all that paperwork and stuff so that she can answer her phone and do all the stuff. She does work with her clients directly, and she's great. Yeah, I'd love to get her over here, but that'll be tough. Okay, other things, right? Holidays, Easter egg hunts. We did an Easter egg hunt. I combined with another agent, her farm and my farm, and we marketed that we were going to do an Easter egg hunt at a park, right? Which was in between our 2 farms. And the first year, we really didn't know what we were doing. We ordered a bunch of junk from Oriental Trading, and we stuffed eggs, and we put our signs out. We took some caution tape, and we separated the little Easter egg areas. We did like 0 to 2-year-olds, 3 to 5-year-olds, 6 to 8-year-olds, whatever. We had like 5 different areas, and we had a 12 and older area eventually. And we just put our own signs out, our own marketing, our own branding, and we mailed out a couple different times, 2 or 3 times, reminding people. Now you would go on social media and create an event, right? But people would come. And so she talked one of her kids into sitting in an Easter bunny outfit and taking pictures, right? And we were like, oh, people really like that. Okay, now we need to figure out a way that we're going to capture the data on the people taking the pictures. So the next year we were smarter, and we were like, okay, how can we capture data and do this? So we did drawings, we did different things. And so then we realized, okay, how are we going to separate our clients? Because there was 2 of us, and of course we had our lender, we had home warranty there helping sponsor and pay for this hot chocolate and this kind of stuff. So the cost wasn't much at all, but the event kept getting bigger and bigger. And so we needed to be able to figure out what to do. And so technology finally kept catching up with us, that you can have them go online, enter their name and email to see their pictures, right? And to get their pictures and all that kind of stuff, so that we could capture them, who was there, and then a drop down, who's your agent? Is it Steve or is it Lori, right? That kind of stuff. So we didn't have to do the separating. We let the clients do the separating on which farm they're there, who are they're supporting. Well, we got so big each year that we got reached out to by the Blaze, which was the Indoor Arena Football League. And so their mascot, who's the dog, I don't even remember his name, and they wanted to come out and hand out free stuff at our Easter egg hunt, because we were probably, this is like year 6 or 7 doing this, and we had probably, I don't know, 600 to 800 people not even in our farms were coming, because they would tell people about, hey, this is a great Easter egg hunt. And so we just kept making our stuff bigger and better. And well, this year, one year we said, hey, let's do something different. Let's do an adult egg hunt. And so we did an adult area only about as big as this training room right here. because we didn't know how well people would like it or not like it. And we'd put full cans of pop, and we'd put some cash in the eggs, and full candy bars and all this other stuff. Well, we did it last, right? And after all the kids were done with everything, and the first time we did it was like a riot. People were just shoving people, stepping on people's hands, we were told, just to get stuff. And we were like, wow, this is way worse than the kids. They're meaner. And we were like, are you kidding me? So we quickly learned to make the adult area the next year the biggest wide out, spread out area than the kids. And we did drawings, you know, open your eggs. If you've got this coupon in there, bring it up, because we've got prizes now. And we made it so big that people just loved it. And it was really good for our own name brand recognitions. We made banners with our own marketing stuff on it, you know, who we were, and it was a huge event. And even though it would snow almost like, because we do it the Saturday right before Easter, it snowed probably 80% of the time that morning. And so we were out there shoveling the grass, trying to make it, and people still came. They didn't care. And it was a lot of fun. And the whole thing's over. Once the event starts and it's over, it's like half an hour and it's done. All the setup and everything took longer, but it was such a fun event. And it was our biggest event that we had. The next year we had the Blaze again, and we had the Bear from the Jazz come out. They both came in on their Harleys, and they both handed out, and people took pictures with them and our Easter Bunny. And the hardest thing to do was to get a teenager to sit in an Easter Bunny outfit, because it's so hot and smelly, and there's a lot of bribery that had to take place to get that done. But that was a really good event, and it's so easy to do. So, and kids don't care. We just kept buying stuff from Oriental Trading and stuffing more eggs. And then we'd have to have events where we'd have to get many of our neighbors' kids over to help us stuff eggs, because we had to do thousands of eggs at that point. But it was a lot of fun. Okay, so movie nights, we did in the same park. We did outdoor movie nights. We built a frame and put a white screen on it, a sheet that we made specially for it, and had a projector, and brought a big old sound system in. And that only cost us $100 to bring in this sound system, these ginormous speakers, and do the latest Disney movie is what we did. And then we had lenders doing popcorn, and other ones doing drinks, and somebody else handed out little glow bracelets and glow necklaces for their kids, because once it got dark, we started the movie and stuff. And so these events just were all about giving back to the community and our recognition. So
Steve?
we did yeah, go ahead.
So with the movies, aren't there rules about doing that, or is it because it's free you can do it?
It's free. Yeah, we didn't
So you
charge
don't-
any money.
Okay.
Yeah, if we charge money, then yeah, we have to cross all kinds of rules and stuff like that. But we did it free, and just
Okay.
for fun. So we didn't get in trouble by anybody, and so I don't think there's anything for free.
Steve?
Yeah.
I've also done in the movie theater, rent the theater for a premiere showing of a popular movie. And it costs a little bit, but you can do stuff beforehand and after in the lobby. And it's always been very successable.
Yeah, always. Those are great. And you definitely want your vendor partners to help pitch in on that, and let them have a few minutes to speak before the movie and all that. And the theaters are so accommodating, and they'll box up the popcorn for you and have it all stacked there so that people can just have it as they go in. It's super easy. It's super convenient. So great. That's great.
Yeah. We also did drawings, and so we get their information, they get a ticket, you know, and so it worked out really good. It was fun. It was mostly for the families, you know, that had children, because it was always a PG or G-rated movie, you know, something like that.
Right. Absolutely. That's great. It's a great event. And they're tax write-offs, right? And you need tax write-offs in this business. So it's worth doing these events and being able to have the tax write-offs and have a good time, and invite all your past clients and things like that to these types of things. So, okay. Any other events that you guys have done besides like Death by Chocolate or parades or anything like that? Anything fun? No? Seth, nothing?
it's not really an event, but I'll do where I go around with my big trailer.
Mm-hmm.
I'll do like a dump run in the
Oh.
community. So people have stuff that they need that they can't just throw in garbage, you know, that they want to take to the dump. Do that every like, I don't know, couple of months. Summer especially.
Did you guys hear Seth? Are you on, Seth? You know, Seth? So Seth's got a trailer that he's got his information like wrapped, and he'll do a dump run, and he'll market that and go around and collect garbage or whatever and go to the dump and dump stuff for his neighbors and stuff in his farm. I think that's a great idea. That's really good.
Steve?
Yeah, yes.
Just going off what Seth said, I don't have it anymore. I have plans to get another one, but I had a moving trailer that people could use if they use me to buy or sell a house.
Yep.
And I've done a handful of parades with that. And that has been really successful because people, you know, we throw out candy as we're in the parade, and people even come to me to this day and be like, oh my gosh, you're that lady that was in the parade for our city. So those go over. I feel like when you have like the park benches or the bus stop benches or those trailer wraps, I feel like people see those, and when they see them over and over again, they remember them.
Yeah, absolutely. Trailer wraps are fantastic. We did a moving van, and it just got so expensive on the insurance on the moving vans, and allowing your clients and other people to do it and all the paperwork that had to be done, that trailers became the thing to do because they can pull the trailer themselves and it's on their own insurance, or you can drop the trailer, load it up, and then go pick it up for them and do things. It was less cost effective and insurance wise with the trailer. So I definitely recommend trailers over the moving van type stuff. Okay, let's talk about consistency real quick. How many times a month do you need to achieve top of mind advertisement, right? It's called TOMA, top of mind advertisements. It's at least 3 touches a month, okay? At least 3. I've done up to 8, and I knew I was gonna be pounding the farm with way too much stuff, but I kept selling houses, and they were mostly just listed postcards, just sold postcards, newsletters and things like that. I didn't have to get into all the other stuff that helps, that's like filler, right? If you don't have something to send them. And that's just because everything was going so well. And so I'm fine with them looking at the postcard, you know, throw it in the garbage. Steve sold another house, right? Great, right? Because that's all I wanted them to know is that Steve sold another house, right? And so they know that I'm the professional in the area. And so, yeah, so it's at least 3 times. Karen.
Were you only sending the homes that you sold in that area, or just in general?
So I was mostly selling in my farm area, but if I sold something somewhere else and I needed a mailer for my farm, absolutely, I was saying I sold it there too. Yeah. So, yep. Everyday direct mail is one of the best ways to do it. Always ask for the referral. Don't be shy. You should be asking for your referral several times during the transaction, right? So and it's nonchalant, right? I would say stuff like especially when they would compliment me for something, I'd be like, well, don't keep me a secret. Make sure you tell all your friends and family and stuff like that, right? Always be talking about getting referrals. Otherwise, they don't know to give you a referral, right? So you have to educate your people on these things. So, okay. Earlier, and handwritten notes are really good. You have to compensate when you do get a referral from somebody else. You do need to compensate them, or else they're going to stop giving you those referrals, right? So if somebody, and it could be something small like movie tickets or something, you know, something under $10, $5. Handwritten notes are great too, but you do need to make sure you're recognizing those people that are giving you the referrals. Okay. Okay. Let's talk about for sale by owners in your farm. For sale by owners is the one place that I do door knock in the farm. Okay. And that's because they've already been receiving all my mailers and all the different things, marketing items, and they're getting it now by phone call and mail from other people. As soon as they put it if they put it on the internet, because all their information is being sold. So it's a good time to introduce yourself if you don't already know them, and they know that you're the professional in the area. And so for sale by owners is one that I do go knock, say, hey, you know, I'm always selling houses in here and buyers are coming to me. I'd love to get a tour of your home and tell me all about your house so that I can help you sell your house. And are you willing to share in a 3% commission if I do bring the buyer? And most all of them were like, yes, right? They just didn't want to pay the listing side because they felt they could do it themselves. So, and then what happens when they don't? Then you have a better shot. Yes.
I have a question. So I had gone and knocked on a for sale by owner in my neighborhood and went and toured their home, cute home, way overpriced. But anyways, I asked them if they would be willing to share in a commission for the buyer's side. And the lady got super defensive. It's these two women that had inherited their mom's home. And she's like, no, whatever. I'm like, oh, okay. So if I bring you a buyer that wants to buy your place, you aren't willing to pay a real estate commission. She's like, maybe 10%, or not 10%, but just, it was some ridiculous amount. And then she actually talked to her sister and came back and said, well, we would pay a flat $6,000, which was not even 2%. And so I'm like, well, I don't know that I can do that.
Yeah.
How do you handle a situation like that if they're just not realistic? I mean, our house is still sitting there. It's been like 3 months. So.
Yeah, I would definitely be reaching out to them and staying in contact. Hey, do you need help with your flyers or anything like that? Just to stay top of mind with them. But if I don't tell them that they're overpriced, absolutely not, right? I let them figure that out.
Yeah, I
because,
just asked them how they came up with their pricing.
Yeah, and as soon as they tell me that they're not willing or they're only willing to compensate a smaller amount, I'd be like, okay. I'm like, good to know, right? And I don't argue with them or debate with them or anything because I want to be the good guy, and I'm obviously not going to sell that home, right? I'm not going to do anything to promote it, but I'm going to stay in touch with them. And then if I do get invited back for a listing appointment, I'm going to say, well, tell me everything you did, right? And tell me this, and I'm going to bring over a CMA. And the hardest thing is going to be is to tell them that their house is not worth as much as they've been trying to sell it for.
Well, they had
Right.
a friend that's a real estate agent help them with the pricing. And so, you know, the thing that went through my head was, do I want to invest a bunch of time trying to build a relationship with this cold person that has said that they have a real estate friend? But then I'm like, well, they may not know what they're doing because their house is way overpriced.
Yeah,
But
I don't. I move on to the next person. I don't spend a lot of time and energy. I just keep making sure they get my mailers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I don't, just because there's just too many better ones to work with. So.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yep. And I've actually had friends that have said, hey, Steve, we want to use you to sell the house. And this is in the farm. And I go over and showcase the home with them. I help them set everything up. I get them the price. And then the last minute, they're like, okay, well, we're going to do these things that you suggested. And then there's a FSBO sign in their yard and they don't tell me. And I'm like, hey, what you doing? What's going on? What's your plan? And they're like, well, we decided we would try to sell it on our own. I'm like, okay, so all that stuff I gave you, all that good advice must have been worth it to you. And they were like, well, and they start him-hawing and backpedaling, and I don't want to make it too uncomfortable. I do, but I'm not. And I'm like, okay, well, you know, if it doesn't work out, I'm here. I'll be here. And they're like, oh, absolutely. And then they used somebody else, and then I was pissed.
Yeah.
And it took a while to get over that, right? And so you used me up and down and then went with somebody else. Like they had them in their pocket the whole time, right? They probably had them over doing the exact same thing they did to me. And so then I'm mad. And I'm like, okay, fine. I got two choices to make. I'm either going to take the high road or I'm going to get muddy and I'm going to take the low road. And it's a good thing I have a really good wife that is really good at talking me off the ledge when I'm about to go into the mud and make things real awkward for the neighbor. But so I always took the high road, but it hurts. It hurts and it happens, and you just got to suck it up and move on to the next one. But you know what? Karma is going to get people. I believe in karma. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it does happen. It's happened probably a good 5 or 6 times to me in my whole career. And the last couple times that it happened, it still hurts just as much as the first time. I won't lie to you. But you just got to go on, move on next, and put your energy and your good karma somewhere else. So.
Is that the email you usually go towards for sell-by owners when you contact them? Or just willing to reach if you find them a buyer?
So her question was on for sale by owners, what's the angle I go with them? So when I do it, I don't go personally and go door knock a for sale by owner that's not in my farm, right? If you want to, you're just going to be battling everybody else that's already contacted them and that kind of stuff. And so you have to prove your value to them, right? And the reason why they're not with you now is because they think they can do it. They're trying to save money, right? And so you've got to overcome that objection, right? And so in a farm, when I know they've been getting my marketing, it's like, hey, I'm Steve Perry. It's nice to meet you. Have you been getting my marketing material? And they'll be like, oh yeah, we get your stuff all the time, right? And a lot of times they're defensive, right? It's like, okay, Steve's here. He's gonna try to make us or get us to sell with him. I'll be like, hey, and then I just go on the other way and say, hey, I'd love to help you sell this. You know, can I see a tour? And then I'm like, oh yeah, that looks good. And I'm complimenting them through the house, just as if I was doing a listing presentation walkthrough. I'll be like, oh, that's going to be great. You know, that's nice. Oh, you've done a really good job here. Oh, this might be a challenge for you. You know, you might have to fix this window, right? Or this kind of things. And I'll point out a couple things that they might not have thought of that I'm a professional that I know of, right? And so I kind of help them out a little bit. And then at the end, it's like, so, you know, if I am able to bring a buyer, would you share in a commission? I don't say, will you pay me a commission? The word share is less intrusive than the word pay, right? Would you share in a commission? And of 3%, right? Because I go right for it, and then negotiate from that point. But that's the angle that I take, is always up here in the professional, and I know what I'm talking about stuff. And then when they don't sell it, or I know it's overpriced, and if it's way underpriced, I'd be like, I'd be telling them, I'd be like, you know what? You're underpriced. You really need to get an appraisal done to get it. Otherwise, I mean, if you hired me and we signed a contract, I could get your price where you need to be, but otherwise you need to go get an appraisal. You know, I tell them that kind of stuff. I don't say go get another agent who can tell you this kind of stuff. I just try to always show them that I'm the professional. And if they use me, they're going to get this for free, a market analysis type thing. So that's the angle I always take on for sale by owners. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. It's just, you don't put a lot of energy into it, but you got to try. Absolutely, you got to try. So, okay, being consistent is the most important thing. If you skip a month and you didn't send them anything to your whole farm, you might as well just start back over, right? You've got to be consistent and be sending them stuff at least 3 times a month. And all the other name brands or brand recognition stuff we've talked about, all has to be done in your community as well. And you cannot, absolutely, you gotta drive better, okay? You can't be the guy that's flipping people off if they cut you off anymore, especially if you put a wrap on your car or something, right? You really got to do things a little bit better, okay? And then, because if you're pulling up to that house and if somebody knows or saw you do something, then you're going to give yourself a bad reputation, and you don't want that.
I got a quick question for you. Sorry to interrupt. Okay, so with your 3 to 8 mailings, is it okay to send, like, if you've done a lot of postcards, and like I just printed a lot of postcards with another lender, and I was thinking of starting a couple different farm areas, and now I'm like reconsidering that. It wouldn't be a bad idea to send this. It's a marketing piece that's showing that the market's hot right now, that things are selling. It wouldn't be bad to send that a couple times, would it?
No, it's not bad. Yeah, if it's a good mailer, if it's a good marketing piece, you know, it's fine to send it a couple of times, you know. but I try to change things up. I try to send different stuff, but as long as your marketing logo and your face and all that kind of stuff is all the same, that's the most important thing. Okay.
Okay.
So,
Thanks.
all right. Any other questions or anything about farming? Okay. So make sure, if you didn't get the handout, put your email in there and Chelsea will make sure that she gets it to you. Farming's great. I made over $100,000 just farming in my career, starting probably year 4 of farming. And then it just became referral based and I started selling their kids' properties and all their brothers and sisters and family members. And it was a great career. I built my whole career in real estate on farming. When I was, so year 2, when I started farming, we just started writing down all the things that worked and things that didn't work. And we created this class and we thought, me and my broker at the time, and we started teaching the class to other agents. And we've seen so many other agents be successful with just these basic principles. And that's being consistently known in your farm every month. Okay. So yeah, it works. It does take a little bit of time and money. So partner up with your vendors to cut down your costs, right? Partner up with your lender or your home warranty company, or or have your plumber that's in your farm create an ad, put it in your newsletter, right? And so charge him $20 or something. He's happy to pay it.
I have about 5 minutes.
What's that, Chelsea?
Let's see, he thinks I'm talking to him.
Good stuff, Steve. Thank you.
Yep, you bet. Okay, well, thanks for attending, guys. If you have any questions after, you can stay after and ask me.
Thanks, Steve. This was a really good class.
Yes.
You bet.